Good morning, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be doing some planting and sowing. It is a little breezy today. Please forgive me for all the wind noise. I'm going to try to edit that all out. But again, I can only do so much with the weather. It's almost like nature is conspiring against me. Doesn't it know I'm trying to make a YouTube video here? So yeah, Saturday we had something like 4 inches of rain in a 24-hour period. Everything is quite soggy, but we're almost to mid-April already. Time is flying and there's so much that needs to be planted and so much that needs to be sown. So I'm going to get on with it today and I'll be planting and sowing numerous things. First, what I'm holding in my hand here, I'm going to start with sunflower, and then I'll be planting some cucumber, some chamomile, and some rattlesnake pole bean, and I'll show you all that in just a second. So let's get to sowing. Okay, so the first thing we're planting up here is, like I mentioned, sunflower. The variety is called Pike's Peak, and with a little luck, this will actually get up to 15 feet tall. So I'm just going to turn around, pop these in real quick, and then I will mention one other thing before we move on to the next thing. Now the soil here is about 8 inches deep, and I've just planted about a 4-5 foot section here of the sunflower. Now this is not the only variety I'm planting this year. So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Click that bell icon to be notified when I do post up a new video so you can follow along and see what other varieties of sunflowers that I'm planting. And the other thing I'm going to do here, not right now, but later down the road, is I will put up just a few pieces of bamboo or rebar, and I will probably run some strings in between them just to help support the sunflowers as they get taller, because we do get some high winds here. That's it for the sunflowers. Let's move on to the next thing. Okay, so we're in one of my new beds here, and as you can see, there's a trellis right here. I had this trellis last year, but it was on pretty much on the ground. It was in one of the lower wooden raised beds. Well, this is the tall metal bed, and one of the advantages here is I'm not going to be hitting my head on the cross member. At least I hope not. What I'm going to plant in this bed, though, is 3 different items. Actually, technically, there's a 4th item right here, which is lemon gem marigold. Now, this marigold gets fairly short. I think it only grows to a couple of feet, which is nice. I'm going to be planting 3 more things in this bed. If you do mixed beds where you grow numerous things within the beds, please let me know in the comments below. I have to constantly remind myself and double check and triple check sometimes. You have to be careful of what you plant in the bed together, because not all plants work together. Some plants actually will work against one another, but in this case I will be planting rattlesnake pole bean, green finger cucumber, and 1 surprise. Let me sow these things real quick. Also, don't forget to tag what you're planting, so in case either you forget or somebody else is wondering, they know what's going on in your garden here. If you've ever grown green finger cucumber before, again, let me know in the comments below. I actually like this variety. I've stumbled across it recently, the last few years. It's a mostly seedless cucumber, so it has a lot more flesh to it, a lot less seeds, which is nice, and it tastes great. And it grows well here. If you've grown rattlesnake pole bean before, again, let me know in those comments below. It grows to, each bean is roughly a footish, 8 inches to a foot, depending upon, I guess, how long you leave it on the vine. And they're green, and they just have these purple streaks going down the bean. Looks really interesting. It tastes pretty much like any other green bean I've had. Probably the biggest thing that I don't like about it is it's fibrous. It has a string that runs down the back side of it, or the front side, not sure which side that is. Either way, it has a string that runs down the spine of the bean. And for me, it gets sort of caught in my teeth and it's annoying and I gotta pull it. It's a pain. My wife, though, loves it. Not my favorite pole bean, but my wife loves them, so I'm planting them. And of course, I'm going to water all this stuff in, because the soil here, even though we just got 4 inches of rain over the weekend, the raised bed drains very well. So therefore the top few inches here, are the top inch or so, it's kind of dry. It's not really moist. So I'll give it a good watering, and then we'll move on to the next thing. But actually there is one more surprise I want to do in this bed, and I'm not sure I'm going to do it today because it's a little windy. The last thing I'm going to plant in this bed is chamomile. And apparently chamomile will work with the marigolds and the cucumbers and the pole beans, and it won't affect anything. I've never grown chamomile before, so I was going to give chamomile a planting. But not today, I don't think, because inside the envelope here, it feels, I'm going to take a quick peek, but it feels very, very fine. And yeah, the seeds like dust-like, and today's very windy. So I will not be planting this chamomile today, but probably sometime later this week. So I'll have the pole bean growing in here, I'll have the cucumber, I have some marigold, and again, I'll have the chamomile growing in here. If you don't think I should grow chamomile in here or something else, again, please leave those comments below. Let's get on to the next thing. Now, if you've been following the channel for some time, you know that I've been starting a lot of plants from seed. The reason I'm doing this is because A, I enjoy it, and B, it's more affordable than going to the local garden center or the big box store and buying plants. I recently picked up 2 irises from a local garden center. I couldn't help myself. They were $16 each. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of money that I could be spending elsewhere in the garden or even to feed myself. So I did start a lot of stuff from seed, and I've given, since yesterday was Easter, I took a few boxes full of stuff, full of plants, and I've given them to some nieces of mine. I can't wait to see them planted out in their gardens. Hopefully they grow on well there. I'm prattling. What I have done is run around before that I turned on the camera, and I placed some of those plants that I've been growing from seed out into the garden. So let's go plant up some of those now real quick. So we're at the back of the between the house and the driveway bed. And the plants that I have here is foxglove alba. I forget the size on this, but either way, it will help grow and cover up some of this cinder block, which I don't like really looking at. And it'll give some sort of little bit of height to the back of this bed, because as you can see, a lot of these plants that are around me are lower lying plants. I want to put something else in here, and what better than a self-seeding foxglove. So again, this is foxglove alba. Try to cover everything back up with mulch. So again, it retains the moisture and tries to keep the weeds out, but it doesn't really do too great of a job. Now the other foxglove I'm going to plant over here is giant spotted foxglove. I've never grown this variety before, and that was one of my goals this year, was to turn around and try to plant new types of foxgloves that I'd never planted before. If you look on the internet, there are companies like Select Seeds, I believe it is. I'll leave a link somewhere on the screen or below. And they have rare and heritage varieties of seeds. Again, stuff you won't find anywhere else. So you grow these plants on from seeds, and you get the satisfaction of knowing you've grown them from seed, and there's something unique that may not be available or you may have never seen before anywhere else. Anyways, let me quit prattling again, start planting. I have to come back and remulch a lot of this because a lot of this mulch has been rotting away. So definitely need more mulch back here. Now I am going to be planting some foxgloves up here in the front bed. Right towards you guys, I'm going to plant 3 more. I believe they're giant spotted. That spot right there gets quite a bit of shade from the crepe myrtle, but it does get significant sun at various points of the day. Foxgloves typically prefer a little bit more shade. Again, we'll have to see how they do, but this is one of the things I want to try this year, since I've grown so many plants from seed, is experiment a little bit. Can I put a foxglove in a sunnier spot, and will it do just as well, if not better, than a shadier spot? And I'm also going to be trying one other variety over here, which apparently can tolerate more sun, which is silver foxglove. So I'll be trying that over here, and we'll see what happens. Again, I have some giant spotted, and I believe I have Excelsior in one of these locations. So I'm not going to bore you with planting these. Let's just move on to the next spot of what I'm planting. So we're here in front of what eventually will be the large flower garden. And if you have any questions as to where I am in my garden, or the different areas that I have, please go over to growingagreenfinger.com. And I can't remember exactly where it is, but I do have, I believe it's the garden. So if you click on the link, the garden, you'll find hopefully a map and description of what I have going on and what's happening where. I also try to update that map yearly as things change. So as the garden grows or I add a new section somewhere along the ways, I will try to update the map to reflect that. And if I change my mind about a certain area, and there's still areas of the garden I haven't decided what I'm going to plant there, I will, just again, leave blank. Or if you have any suggestions as to maybe what I should do in a certain area, please leave those suggestions below, or you can even email me at jason@growinggreenfinger.com. In the meantime, I'm going to turn around and plant up this front section here, right in front of these gladiolus, which are now coming up with Canofia, red hot pokers. I can never say it right. So, as you can tell, it's a bit weedy right now. I have this perennial grass, fake garlic, whatever you want to call it. So what I'm going to do is I'll pull back the mulch like I've done in every other spot, and I will add compost if needed, and I will get these, I believe I have 6 of these planted basically right in here. I think this will fill out this corner nicely. And again, if you've never grown red hot pokers before, this is what it looks like, and I like it. It's a nice plant. It's perennial, and probably the best part of the plant I like, or I enjoy so far, is it's easy to propagate. It grows in fibrous, tuberous roots, and once the clump gets large enough, you can then turn around and just take a shovel, hack it into pieces. Then you could tease some of those pieces apart, and you can create, I took 3 clumps and I created approximately 18 plants. I'm going to start prattling again and get to work. One of the challenges that I'm finding as the garden matures, and this is probably the 2nd year now for this garden bed, is on top of the weeds, is finding spaces or gaps to put plants. And obviously as the garden bed matures and I add more plants and the plants grow, more of that space will be taken up, which is the eventual goal, is just to have a plethora of plants covering up as much of the ground as possible, which will reduce the weed activity. And I don't know about this grass. I don't think anything can stop this horrible grass, but theoretically, if I keep pulling at the leaves enough, it'll weaken the bulbs beneath and they'll run out of energy to produce new ones. Either way, what I'm going to plant in this little spot right here is a marigold called Lemon Gem. It's a Signet marigold. So I'm going to do a clump right here, and I have gladiolus right here, and I have Sarah Bernhardt peony there, and it looks like I have some elephant ears here, or canas. I'm not sure which one. I'm still learning. I'm growing green finger here, learning to garden and identify plants. So again, I'm going to stop prattling, start planting. The other interesting thing I forgot to mention about the Lemon Gem marigolds here is if you rub the leaves, they smell like lemon. It's pretty cool. I guess that's why, obviously, the name is called Lemon Gem. Let's move on to the next planting. Now, one of the things I repeatedly mention on this channel is how I'm building up my garden, or building the beds here. Most cases, I'm doing no dig. And that essentially means I'm putting the cardboard on the ground, right on top of the grass after it's been cut as short as possible. It suppresses the grass, it suppresses the weeds. When they die, they add organic material to the ground, which this ground has very little organic material. And I don't know if you can see this, this is cardboard. So again, when I laid the cardboard down and I put down the soil on top of it, the compost, it was just a very thin layer. And it was basically just to help hold down the cardboard for the winter. So what I'm doing is I just threw a bag of compost right on top of this, and I am planting up 3 more foxgloves. These are giant spotted. Now this spot is mostly in shade. As you can see, we're in shade right now throughout most of the day. But later in the day, we'll be in full sun. And I don't know how these plants are going to do. So this is a bit of an experiment. Will they be able to tolerate the heat and the sun here in eastern North Carolina in this spot? Will them getting shade most of the morning, I should say, will they learn to tolerate the sun, and will they thrive here? Don't know. They may totally die. Fry, roast. You have to subscribe and click that bell icon to be notified when I do post up a new video, so that when I do come back around to this side, to this location, we'll then find out whether or not any of this worked. As you can see, I added about 4 more inches of the compost on top. These plants are small. The cardboard underneath is rotting away fairly quickly. I do not have any mulch at this moment, so I will have to come back and mulch this spot. But the bed all around it needs to be planted up, and will be planted up hopefully this year. So let's go wrap things up. Alrighty then. So I have got some sunflower planted. Cucumbers, beans. I planted a bunch of foxgloves. I planted some more of my red hot pokers. I think I only have a few left, and maybe I'll wind up giving them away because I'm not sure how many more clumps or areas of red hot pokers I want. Maybe I'll plant them. I don't know. Kind of make this up as I go along, if you couldn't tell. So we're planting, we're sowing. I don't know if you guys are planting or sowing yet. I don't know where some of you are. I think somebody is out in Oregon, they mentioned in a comment, and I think somebody is over in Maryland. So let me know where you are down below. Let me know what growing zone you're in, if you're planting yet or not, and maybe what you're planting. If you're planting anything interesting this year, let me know. It's always interesting to hear, and plus it's also inspiring sometimes hearing some of the different plants that you guys are planting that may then spark either in me or somebody else who reads the comments an idea of what they can grow in their garden. I'm a little bit dirty, but that's okay. It's a good day gardening, and I'm not done yet because I still have to sow things here in the greenhouse that I'm not going to bore you with, and I have to prepare other things to be sown and ready to put into the ground over the next week. If you don't follow me on Instagram, give a follow on Instagram, because I often post pictures of things that you won't see here on YouTube. If you didn't know, check out the community tab on the YouTube homepage, because I often post up little blurbs about something or other, or I'll show behind the scenes pictures, which is something I don't do normally here or over on Instagram. Again, I try to keep everything a little bit different to draw you guys' attention to those things, and you get a little something on everything. That's gonna do it for today. I'm gonna get something to drink because I'm a little bit thirsty. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.